I present the report of the Joint Standing Committee on the National Capital and External Territories on the strategic importance of Australia's Indian Ocean territories, and I move that the Senate take note of the report.
Question is that the— oh no, you're going to speak to us?
I will
okay.
speak. Yep.
Carry on. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. I rise today to present the Joint Standing Committee on the National Capital and External Territories report of its inquiry into the strategic importance of Australia's Indian Ocean territories. The Indian Ocean territories is made up of Christmas and Cocos-Keeling Islands, which is a part of the electorate of Lingiari in the Northern Territory, and is certainly an incredibly beautiful place. And as Senator for the Northern Territory, I take particular interest, Mr Acting Deputy President, in reaching out to constituents in both the islands of Christmas and the Cocos-Keeling Island groups. The inquiry was a great opportunity to engage and meet face-to-face with so many stakeholders on the islands and give all committee members the opportunity to experience the vibrant and diverse communities of the Christmas and Cocos-Keeling Islands. This inquiry was different to others that have involved the Indian Ocean territories because it specifically looked into the Indian Ocean territories from a broader strategic perspective. The committee held 5 public roundtable-style hearings, 2 in Canberra and 3 in the Indian Ocean territories. Earlier this year, the committee undertook meetings with local communities on Christmas Island, West Island and Home Island. The committee inquired into the strategic importance and we investigated the changing regional security environment and security contingencies, defence capabilities in the territories and associated infrastructure development, the scope of maritime, air and other cooperation with Indo-Pacific partners, and impacts on local communities. In Australia today, many people associate the region with Australia's defence and border protection. But what many people don't know, Mr Acting Deputy President, is that the Indian Ocean territories have a history of strategic importance to the military because of the access point to the Indian Ocean. In a submission to the committee, Mr Julian Yates was able to give a historical account of the strategic importance of the Cocos Islands. Cocos first became significant to Australia in World War I. West Island was used as an operating base for British Royal Air Force and the Royal Australian Air Force for attacks on Japanese forces in Burma, Sumatra, Java and Singapore. During World War I and World War II, Cocos-Keelings were used for its phosphate resources, a fact that had them under Japanese attack during World War II. In particular, the Christmas Island region was very important strategically in regards to this. In more recent times, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade has stated that a secure and stable Indian Ocean region is crucial for Australia's national security and prosperity, particularly noting the economic interests of shipping routes for exports and imports. One witness told the inquiry that Australia needs a military presence on Christmas and the Cocos Islands to defend and maintain its interest in the territories, adding that the Indian Ocean territories could play a role in defeating organised crime. The change from its historical role also reflects the changing dynamic in the region. Competing world powers are increasing their levels of activity, and with this comes a challenge of security challenges in our own region. The changing dynamic of the regions raises many security issues around transnational crime, irregular maritime migration and terrorism. And so for this reason, the committee supports Australia's ongoing engagement with partners in the region to address these security challenges. Australia is involved in various international forums relating to the Indian Ocean territories, which gives it an opportunity for diplomatic engagement, finding common ground on the interests and issues, and gaining a localised perspective of regional partnerships. And part of the regional cooperation can be addressed through the upgrade of the Cocos Islands Airport runway. When giving evidence, Dr Malcolm Davis suggested that Australia may wish to consider whether reciprocal access to the Cocos Islands Airport runway could be granted in the spirit of increased cooperation with India. The committee also received evidence from Dr Davis, who said that Australia should seek to further strengthen its relationship with Indonesia through further cooperation, such as joint naval patrols in the Indian Ocean region. Yes, the Indian Ocean region is a diverse area of national and economic interests, and because of this, the committee recommends that the Australian government strengthen its engagement with Australia's Indo-Pacific partners through existing regional forums and alliances that Australia currently participates in. The Department of Defence told the inquiry that the Indian Ocean Territory would be an effective place from which to deploy and support Australian Defence Force capability in the region in the form of humanitarian and disaster relief. The Department of Infrastructure and Regional Development noted that the government's long-term strategic infrastructure to support the provision of local and state-type government services in the region, including in water, wastewater, power, fuel supply and storage, airports, ports, health services, roads, community buildings and housing. Despite the department's plans, many people from the local Christmas and Cocos communities did raise serious issues of infrastructure. Infrastructure projects like the Cocos Island airstrip and associated facilities, access to water on West Island, the crane and mooring facilities on Christmas Island, telecommunications infrastructure and the future of the Christmas Island Immigration Detention Centre, all which would have shared a benefit of government, industry and local business interests. The inability to increase infrastructure funding on the island means that those projects have now built up, and this committee report recognises that. Concerns were raised by members of the local communities on the islands about the need for infrastructure upgrade to the Cocos Islands airstrip and associated facilities, access to water on West Island, as I said, the crane and mooring facilities on Christmas Island, again the telecommunications infrastructure and the future of the Christmas Island Immigration Detention Centre, all were raised to this committee. The committee's recommended an ongoing and extensive consultation with stakeholders and communities on long-term infrastructure solutions. The communities on both Christmas and Cocos Keeling Islands are similar to all of our Australian communities, and they're culturally diverse and proudly Australian. The committee made a final recommendation that any government departments that wish to do further works on the islands do so in genuine partnership with local communities through consultation and action that meets the needs of the community. Underemployment and a lack of employment opportunities is certainly an issue facing both these communities in the Indian Ocean territories. Mr Daniel Beckett told the committee that the Cocos Islands have a lot of underemployment because employment is dependent on intermittent activities. For example, there is a surge in employment when ships dock on the island to unload cargo. Job seekers on Christmas Island are older and on the edge of retirement, and the number of unemployed young people is low. The Chinese Literary Association witnesses also stated that most young people from Christmas Island leave for mainland Australia due to lack of employment opportunities. The committee also noted the opportunity for local employment through the increased defence and border protection activities. These include surveillance, naval patrols, a military reserve or cadet unit and potential training exercises on Christmas Island and the Cocos Keeling Islands. Again, the Cocos airstrip was raised as an industry-boosting solution. Mr Belmont Pires commented that if the airstrip on West Island could be further developed, it could create opportunities for more airlines to set routes to the islands, leading to increased tourism and employment for locals. Mr Acting Deputy President, it was indeed a great honour to travel with the committee to the Indian Ocean territories and to hear the constituents of both the Christmas and Cocos Keeling Islands come forward with their solutions and their vision for the future of the Indian Ocean territories. I would like to thank the communities of Christmas Island, Home and West Islands, which make up the Cocos Keeling Islands groups, for welcoming the committee, sharing their experiences, offering solutions and for their hospitality and a very special thank you to the residents of Christmas Island. Mr Acting Deputy President, I commend the report to the Chamber.